Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight, we will have 6 applications for public hearings on the agenda utilizing the Zoom webinar application. We will have the applicant join us to present their application to the board and answer any questions. Following the presentation, we will individually call upon members of the public who have registered to speak regarding this application. Individuals will be following the presentation, and public comments and public hearing will be closed. The record for the matter shall be held open for a minimum of 7 days. As long as the record is open, any member of the public who did not register to participate in tonight's Zoom meeting can provide comments on the application by email or regular mail to Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals, 200 East Sunrise Highway, Lindenhurst, New York, or zoning comments at townofbabylon.com. Okay. And before we begin tonight, there is one application that is being withdrawn. It's application 22030, property located in West Babylon, Robert Glasgow. That application is being withdrawn. Okay, very good.
Okay, are we ready for the first application, number 22-029? I have Sean Murphy here. I'm going to promote him to panelist to address the board. Okay, Sean, you've been promoted. You just need to unmute to address the board.
Hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Yes.
Good evening. I just need your
Hi.
name and
My name
address
is-
for the record.
My name is Sean Murphy. I am living at 17 Willard Avenue in Worcester, Massachusetts now.
Okay. All right. Before we begin, let me just read some stuff into the record. We have a planning division memo dated March 14th, 2022. Environmental control memo dated March 21st, 2022. There's comments in here concerning flood level. The floor of the garage is below BFE, 6 feet. The garage would require flood vents. Materials below BFE must be flood resistant, no utilities below that, and the survey provided does not indicate the elevation of the garage. We're going to need that before we can move your application. Suffolk County Planning Memo dated March 9th, 2022. Decision of local determination, take no position for or against. Survey by Matthew Alicia, dated October 1st, 2021, tax map acting as an area map. And
We have 7 photos.
what would you like to tell us about your application?
So I moved into the house in 1997, and this garage was there. And when I moved in, my mortgage packet had a survey from 1958 where the garage was there, 1958. And it's been there ever since. And I had no idea it was illegal. And I just want to make it legal now that the new owner has it.
So are you not the owner anymore?
I sold the house and I have to get the C of O. They have withheld money from the sale for the C of O for the garage.
Okay, so we need a form from you. You're actually representing the new owner. Who's the new owner?
Robert Cummings. I believe I indicated that on the paperwork.
Okay, I don't have it on the planning memo. So it's Robert Cummings, and you have authorization to act on his behalf because he is really the owner now?
I do in this matter, yes.
Okay.
And I believe they submitted that paperwork also.
Okay. All right, attorney hearing. Oh, Mr. Rigney is not with us tonight. Okay, so this So when you bought the house originally, this never came up in a title search or anything?
It came up and it was never an issue.
Never an issue. Okay. All right. So the
His-
garage is, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The new owner's mortgage company requires it, so.
Yeah, well, because it probably came up in a title search. That's why. Okay. So the garage has been there basically forever, kind of prior to
Since
you.
1958, that's longer than I've been around, so.
Yeah. Would you agree to, if we were to approve this application, that the garage be for storage use only, no habitable space permitted, no heating or plumbing?
Oh, that's the way it's always been.
Okay, all right, so you would
Yeah.
agree to those conditions?
And Mr. Chairman, we will just have to verify that there's an owner affidavit.
Yeah. Is there anything in the file or?
We have to hold it for a week. We'll have to, we'll have to.
Okay,
confirm.
all right, so we'll take a look at it. If there's a problem, we'll let you know, okay?
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? We have anybody, Katie?
We have no one registered for this application.
Okay, so I'm going to close the hearing. I'm going to reserve decision. I'm going to keep the record open for 1 week for any further comments due to the Zoom meetings. You'll get the decision in the mail, and if we do not have that paperwork, we'll be in touch with you because we do need that.
Okay, I'm sure I submitted it, so.
All right, that's fine. All right, thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate the consideration.
Okay, next we have application number 22-021, Monica Malenciano. I have Juan Lopez here to represent the application. I'm going to promote him to a panelist. Okay, Juan, you've been promoted. You just need to unmute to address the board.
Juan, you need to unmute yourself so you can address us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Juan Lopez at 2470 Grand Neck Road, Copiague, New York, 11726, representing Mr. Monica. It's a weird last name. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Right. Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay. I have a planning division memo dated March 14th, 2022. Environmental control memo dated March 21st, 2022. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by William Simmons dated June 29th, 2020. Tax map acting as an area map, and
And we have 12 photos.
okay, would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, absolutely. Basically, it was it was already a permit. It was all inspection passed. I believe for some reason at the last minute they looked at the survey, then find out that it was a couple of feet on the rear back of the house, that not meeting the code, which should be 30 feet, the setback, and then that's pretty much 26.5, I believe. And it's a small little place that they dedicated to have as a to see all the soccer games and all that stuff. So it's pretty much an area that is for the playroom, watch TV, and when they do all the barbecue in the backyard, they don't want people to go inside the house to use the bathroom. So that's the reason they create this little space for recreation.
Okay, so did they take out a permit before you started the construction? Or
Yes.
whoever? They did.
No, it was a permit. It was a permit. We already inspected. For some reason, I mean, and it's reasonable. the last minute when I was kind of asking for the CO, it came out the decision that it was a variance because it was the distance from the back rear
From the
yard.
backyard. Okay, I got it. So what's in your neighbor's backyard?
Neighbors, it's old people have the big backyards in there. I mean, it's barbecues, sheds and stuff like that on my neighbors.
Okay. So it actually butts two different properties, actually, a little bit on one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, may I just request a moment at the conclusion of the hearing to ask Mr. Lopez a question, but I'll let go on with the application.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katie, we have anybody on this?
You have nobody registered for this application.
Ms. Green, you're up.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
This is Pamela Green. I'm counsel to the board. I'm sorry to do this, but may I ask you a question on another application? Are you the expediter for Jose Mata?
Jose Mata.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I was the expediter for him. Yes,
Are you still?
I do. I mean, no, because I called him last week and I wanted to, because I told him that the town, the court enforcement needed to do a final inspection in order to close his file because he already knocked down this structure in the back that is supposed to be knocked down.
You're absolutely
Also,
correct. What
he
did
moved,
tell you?
he moved it. Say that again?
Absolutely correct. Code enforcement needs to
Yes.
do inspection.
And
What
he
did he
also,
tell
he also moved the shed to the place supposed to be. So, and I explained that to the town, but they still want to do, I mean, inspection inside of the house because previously they believe the town wanted to come into the house and I explained that to him. So he wanted to speak to a lawyer to see, I believe, I don't know who was it. And I said, okay, fine. You just do what I just told you what you need to do, what the town wants to do. And and he called me actually this afternoon saying that he spoke to his lawyer, some lawyer, and I don't know who was, but anyway, that's my situation with him right now.
So just be aware, I don't know if this means you are representing him or not, but without that inspection, this board cannot move this application that has now been pending since January. Let me stop you right there. And it does not reflect well that code enforcement cannot get an answer, a return phone call, or even get through to either you or your client. They do not appreciate that lack of communication. So, Mr. Chairman, I apologize for taking this moment of personal privilege during this application, but it has been very
May
difficult to get a hold of you, so I wanted to take the chance now to do so.
May I add something to you right now to this conversation, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes?
Yes, absolutely. In several occasions, I spoke to Katie and I told her what it needs to be done in order to close the application. I've been definitely following with this application in the town. And I also spoke to Ronnie, the core enforcement, last week in order for the inspections. And I called the gentleman, Mr. Mata, in order to accept an inspection from the town. But he keeps saying that he will deal with some lawyer that he knows and things like that. So I'm been doing what I need to do for the town because I like to have my good standards with the town of Avalon.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much for addressing that issue. And it was not part of this application, so I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We're going to keep the record open for 1 week due to a Zoom call, and you'll get the decision in the mail.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, next we have application number 22-006, Jennifer Marini. I'm going to promote her to panelist to address the board. Okay, Jennifer, you've been promoted. You just need to unmute to address the board.
Hello, how are you?
How are you? Good evening. I need your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Stephanie Maiorini. And this is Jennifer Maiorini from 261 Manhattan Avenue, West Babylon.
Okay, and do you both affirm to tell the truth? Okay, for the record, we have a planning division memo dated March 14th, 2022. Environmental control memo dated February 2nd, 2022. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Survey by Michael Angelo, not dated. Tax map acting as an area map, and
12 photos.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
We are putting in an application to do a second-story dormer on our house over the existing footprint.
Okay, I'll turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
Okay, and this dormer is going straight up. It's you said it is over the existing footprint. I'm sorry.
Yes.
One other question. This is the pool house.
Yes.
What is the pool house used for?
It is a storage shed that is near our pool.
So just for storage. It's not okay.
Yeah, we saw the form.
Oh, you did?
Nothing-
You read
yes.
the planning memo?
Yes, no bathroom, nobody lives there, nothing of any sorts.
Okay. And so the new addition for the house is just to expand what you guys are, how you guys are living now. It's not for renting or anything like that.
No, just growing family.
Just growing family. I had one other question. Oh no, that may be it. Oh, when was the pool house built?
2020. 2020.
2020. And the contractors didn't tell you guys that you needed to have this permitted?
No, we were told that everything would be taken care of.
That's usually what they say.
We just want to make sure that everything is proper.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Anybody like to be heard on this? Candy, anybody?
We have nobody registered for this application.
Okay. All right, thank you, ladies. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We're going to keep the record open for 1 week for further comments due to the Zoom meetings, and you will get the decision in the mail.
For your
Thank you.
time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have application 22-025 Keyspan. I have Joe Bazell here. I'm going to promote him to panelist to address the board.
Wow, Joe Mazzell.
Boy, it was an early night. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did.
Joe, you just need to unmute yourself to address the board.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the applicant, Joseph F. Bazell, the firm is Bazell, Blanda, and Visconti, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville. Tonight's application concerns.
Hold on. Let me just read the stuff in. And where you been? We haven't seen you in quite some time.
Well, I spent some time in a monastery, mostly making B&B. It's a very good beverage if you ever have a chance to try it.
All right, with that, I have a planning division memo dated March 14th, 2022. A approval by this board, application 18255. Environmental control memo dated March 21st, 2022. It's been a negative declaration has been adopted by the planning board. The planning board's resolution 1830 AB for the negative declaration. I have. I guess this is a survey. A survey, and I really can't make out the name on it. Also don't see a date. Tax map acting as an area map, a set of plans by Joseph Deal, last dated January 20th, 2022. And
2 photos.
what would you like to tell us?
Thank you. The application concerns 2 variances related to modifying an approved multi-tenant warehouse project. The variances are related to a compressed natural gas or CNG facility to be constructed by National Grid on part of the property. The property is on the west side of New Highway in East Farmingdale. It's about 330 feet north of the tracks. It is very irregularly shaped. It has only 43.27 feet of frontage on New Highway, but it widens out very much in the rear. It is behind industrial properties on New Highway, which screen it. It's zone industry G. It has 16.29 acres and is in very much need of redevelopment. Presently, the largest use on the property is a bus storage yard. The access is via a shared driveway with the property to the south, which creates a 50-foot right-of-way. To the south of us, there's an asphalt plant and the railroad. To the east, there's an industrial buildings on New Highway. Across New Highway is a rail freight terminal and then a cemetery. To the north, we have industrial buildings and uses. To the west, we have industrial buildings and uses. We do not abut and are not near any residences. As a little bit of history, in September 21 of 2020, the Planning Board approved site plan approval to develop this premises with 3 multi-tenant warehouse buildings. On October 20th, the Zoning Board of Appeals approved the related variances. There were 2. Reduced frontage on New Highway to 43.27 feet and construct 3 warehouse buildings. Covenants were recorded in January of 2021. National Grid then approached the owner about constructing the CNG facility, which necessitated the revisions, which is why we're here. We appeared before the Planning Board on the 24th of January. They adopted a neg deck on the 28th. We appeared before the Town Board for a special permit for a public utility on the 1st of March. Town Board approved it at that meeting. As far as the modifications are concerned, they only affect a small part of the premises. What is unchanged? The access is the same. The general layout is the same. Phase 2, the central area of the site, is totally unchanged. Phase 3, which is in the rear, is also totally unchanged. 72% of the site is exactly the same. Further, the use of the 3 buildings is unchanged. It will still be storage and distribution. Basically, building 1, which was 100,000 square feet on the original approval, has been downsized to 30,232 square feet, so it's been reduced by just under 70%. It's well under the building area. The prior plan complied with the building area. We're now more than 10% below, and we have 18% more parking than we require. Basically, there is a gas main on New Highway. At certain times during the year, the coldest days when gas service is the most in demand, there are problems can occur in the system and the distribution, which could require a partial shutdown and can produce diminished or poor service. What National Grid wants to do is connect to that main and be able to input CNG directly at that point, which will go right into the main. Its area is just over 3 acres, fully secure, fenced in from the rest of the site, so only National Grid can enter. The distribution facilities, which are what puts the CNG into the main, are on the east side, about 300 feet from New Highway. Everything is screened. Nothing here is more than 1 story tall. The monitoring building is on the west side. It's 1 story and only 480 square feet. In the center is the input facility, And basically, it's like a reverse gas station. Trucks come in, they pull into a designated spot. The driver disconnects the cab and pulls the cab away. Keyspan personnel hook up the truck to the system, and then they turn it on to input the CNG into the system. When the filling has completed, which can take a day or so, they send a cab back. By this point, the truck has been disconnected. The cab picks up the truck back and leaves the site. There are only personnel on the site a few days a year when they're actually undertaking it, and it's only when the weather is at its coldest. Other times, somebody may show up to check the facilities, but that is about it. It's only active a few days out of the year. As to the two variances, the frontage variance is exactly the same as on the October 20th, 2020 approval. The frontage variance is inherent in the property. Anything built on this 16+ acre property needs that variance. While there are now 4 buildings instead of 3, building area has gone down considerably. We added a 480 square foot monitoring building, and we took almost 70,000 square feet out of building number 1. So we reduced building number 1 by 69,768 square feet, or just under 70%. There's been a 10% overall reduction in building area, and we are now more than 10% below permitted area and have more than 18% more parking than we require. This is a very positive modification to an approved project. Improved and reliable natural gas service benefits town residents. The National Grid use is very, very quiet, and it's very limited, operating only a few days a year in the dead of winter. The changes are small, access the same, general layout the same, phases 2 and 3 completely unchanged, 72% of the site unchanged from the prior approval. The use of the 3 buildings unchanged, still storage and distribution. Frontage variance exactly the same as what the board approved in October 2020, and that variance is inherent in the property and required for any development of the site. While we now have 4 buildings, the overall building area is down 10%, and the 1 building that was reduced about 70%. We think this is a very positive project, very good for town residents. We have planning board approval. We have town board approval. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to take them. I know I didn't drone on quite as long as you hoped. If you want, here.
I have no questions. Any other questions from the board? Anybody on this one, Katie?
Yes, we have a couple people registered as part of the applicant. Joe, I don't know if you was somebody that you would like me to promote first. I have Brian Gray and Andrew here.
I think we would defer them speaking unless the board has any questions that I can't answer.
No, that's fine.
Okay, and then I just have one other participant registered, John Louth. I'm going to promote him to a panelist to address the board. Okay, John, you've been promoted. You just need to unmute to address the board.
John, you need to unmute yourself.
There you go. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm on my phone. I'm not on my laptop or computer.
Okay.
But
Please, your
yes,
name
I'm
and address.
John Roth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I need your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is John Loth, Lauth, and the address is 7150 Republic Airport, East Farmingdale, New York, 11735.
Okay, I do affirm to tell the truth.
Yes.
Okay, would you like to tell us?
I had a question. Is that okay for me to ask a question?
You'll ask the question, we'll bring back the applicant to answer it. What's your question?
Okay. The question was, he said it was going to be in operation during the coldest time of the year. I was just wondering to get a feel for, he said it wasn't going to be a lot, but during the time that it is in use, what would be the volume of vehicles at that facility with the tractor trailers getting filled up? Is there one at a time, or would there be 10 or 15 trucks there?
Okay. You have any other questions?
No, I was listening
Okay.
to all the different things that he said, and it sounds like a really win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it does. But I'll bring back Mr. Brazel right now just to answer your question.
Okay, great.
If we could join in, Andrew Leah, who's more versed in the technical operations than I am.
Okay.
And I do have site plans and some things that were sent over. If you need me to screen share them, just let me know.
Okay.
And
Can you
make-
promote? Yeah, he wants to promote. What's his name, Joe?
Yeah,
Andrew-
I promoted him. He just needs to
Okay.
unmute.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I just need your name and address for the record, please.
Certainly. Andrew Leah from Barclay Damon Law Firm in 125 East Jefferson Street, Syracuse, New York. I'm special counsel to National Grid in this matter.
Okay. I guess, did you hear the question?
I did, sir, yes.
Okay.
The answer to Mr. Louth's question is that the system is set up to hold as many as 18 trailers at one time to be able to discharge the compressed natural gas into the network. Those 18 slots don't expect to be occupied all at once, however. Certain slots are reserved for maintenance, for repair, etc. So at any given time, the amount of gas necessary will likely occupy perhaps a dozen trailers or so. Those trailers will come in on off-peak traffic hours, be staged at the site. All the drivers will leave first before the trailers are hooked up. Then the trailers be hooked up through a warming bath, then a depressurization. Then they're measured, the gas is measured before it's introduced into the system at that point. And again, this happens on the coldest days of the year. I'm sorry, did I said 18, I meant 28 actually is what the site plan shows. But this is intended for use only on the extremely coldest days of the year. And that is when the temperature as measured on Central Park, the average daily temperature is only 10 degrees Fahrenheit or less. As you can imagine, this occurs very infrequently on Long Island, sometimes not at all in a mild winter. So we do not forecast the frequent use of this process. However, it is necessary to provide a localized boost of pressure to the system to offset the high demand during those times.
If it's not in use, it's like, the summertime or whatever, are there any trailers parked there at that point or no?
No, sir. No, the site is essentially shut down when it's not in use. No one is occupying the control building on site. The security may monitor the site to make sure there's no intruders, but otherwise the site will not be active in the least.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question? You good with that?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
it did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Any other thing? That's it? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else, Katie?
I had one other person registered, but I do not see them in the waiting room.
Okay, well, we're going to close the hearing, reserve decision. We're going to keep the record open for 1 week in case there are any further comments due to the Zoom meetings. You'll get the decision in the mail, and that if that person wants to, communicate with us, they have time to do so. All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, next application is number 22-026 SNL Copeg. I have Anthony Gordino here to represent the case. I will promote him to panelist to address the board now.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. How are you? Can you hear
Hey,
me?
how are you?
Good, good. I'm doing well. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
You too. Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Anthony Guardino, law firm of Farrell Fritz, PC, Hauppauge, New York, for the applicant.
All right, for the record, I have a planning division memo dated March 14th, 2022, environmental control memo dated March 24th, 2022. Secret is pending on this application. Suffolk County Planning Memo dated March 9th, 2022, decision of local determination. Take no position for or against let's see what I would say. This is we're calling it an alignment plan by Christopher Robinson from R&M Engineering, dated, I'm gonna make these numbers bigger, 8/3/21. A survey by Gregory Galaus. I don't see a date on this. Tax map, 2 tax map acting as area maps, and
3 photos.
would you like to tell us about the application? Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Okay, great. So the applicant is proposing to redevelop the former Pets Warehouse and a parade float rental company property that's located in Copeg with a self-storage facility. And in order to do so, it needs certain area variance relief from this board. I have with me on the line Chris Robinson and Jeff Lasarczyk, both engineers with R&M Engineering. And I have in the room with me that you can see, but several representatives from SNL, the applicant, and they are Lee Reynolds, Aaron Stevens, and Nick Burns. So in case the board has any questions, I wanted to make sure that they're here so that they could answer any questions that we can't answer. The property is slightly under 2 acres in size, 1.88 acres. It's located at 1550 Sunrise Highway in Copeg. The property is a little bit unique in that it's a through lot. It has about 180 linear feet of frontage on Sunrise Highway and about 150 linear feet of frontage on Ralph Avenue. It is improved. It's currently improved with a vacant 31,000 square foot retail and warehouse building. The southern portion of the building was previously occupied by Pets Warehouse, and the northern portion of the building and the site are currently occupied and used as a parade float rental company. The property is split zoned. Both zones, though, are industrial. It's G industrial and GB industrial. Both of those zones allow for self-storage uses with a special permit from the planning board. And the planning board heard this application back in January, the end of January, and they reserved decision pending a decision from this board. So we've already been to planning, so that's good. The land use pattern in the area surrounding this site is mixed, some commercial along Sunrise Highway, but as you go north, there are industrial uses that front along Ralph Avenue. There are, and this is important, there are no residential uses at all in the area. The project is going to involve the demolition or the partial demolition of the vacant Pets Warehouse and parade float rental building, and then the reconstruction of a little bit more than 108,000 square foot, 2-story and 3-story self-storage building. So parts will be 2-story, parts will be 3-story. The building has been designed to complement the other buildings that are in the area. It will be a vast improvement over what's there today and over the retail and industrial buildings that are on the site. The facility will be served by a total of 30 on-site parking spaces. There will be over 1,000 state-of-the-art climate-controlled storage units in this facility. Some will be as small as 25 feet, and some will be as large as about 300 square feet. About half of them will be 50 square feet or less. The facility will operate 7 days a week. It will have office hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the storage units can also be accessed by tenants during the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. with a restricted key card. So if you're a tenant, you'll get a key card that will allow you in the gate. The facility will be staffed during business hours by no more than 2 or 3 employees. With respect to the variances, we need 4 of them. We needed 5 originally. We're down to 4. One is for building height. The building is 35 feet maximum height. The zone, both industrial zones actually allow 35 feet. The reason why we need the variance is that the code says for self-storage buildings, they are limited to 2 stories and 25 feet in height. So the variance is not because of the zone, it's because of the use. And as you know, the memo from planning did not have an objection to that, the granting of that variance. We do need a variance for building area. We are proposing 47.41%, and only 40% is permitted. That's about an 18% deviation from the code. There will be parking in the front yard setback. Several spaces are located in the front yard setback. And again, that is not a G district or a GB district requirement. It's a requirement for self-storage. And then we will need on-site parking variance. We are proposing 30 parking spaces, 55 spaces are required. There had been a 5th variance for a waiver of some architectural enhancements to the facade of the building. But after the planning board hearing, my clients kind of went back to the drawing board. Their architect made some modifications. So we no longer need that variance. That variance has gone away. So we no longer need the waiver. So just to address the variances quickly, with respect to building height, as I mentioned, the height complies with the G and GB districts, the height requirement, I should say. So there's no objection to the granting of this variance by the planning department. Also want to point out that there is a building just to the west of this property that is 3 stories in height, masonry building. So it's similar height to what is being proposed here. So this is not out of character with the area. Building area, again, is slightly over what is required, but this is largely a function of the fact that much of the building already exists on the site, and a 3rd story was added really to maximize the amount of landscaped area on both the Sunrise Highway and Ralph Avenue frontages, and that was requested by the planning department. They wanted to see enhanced landscaping on both frontages, and we've done that. With respect to parking in the front yard setback, there is already certain spaces that are in the front yard setback, and it's a function of a little carve out that the DOT owns on Sunrise Highway, and that's what's requiring this variance. If you look at the site plan, there's like a little triangle on the Sunrise Highway frontage there, and you'll see that kind of cuts into the property. So that's what's really triggering this the need for this variance. And again, there are already some. You can see that at the bottom of the screen, right in the center of the site.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's creating, and the setback is minimal, but given where that cuts in, it creates the need for this front yard parking in the front yard setback. But the good news is there's a self-storage use generates very little cars, and not going to have a lot of cars parking in the front at all. So that's probably, I guess, a good segue for the last variance, and which is for on-site parking. So I'm going to introduce Jeff Lasarczyk, a professional traffic engineer with R&M Engineering, and he'll explain why the proposed parking will be more than adequate for this proposed self-storage use. Jeff, you want to chime in?
I've just promoted him to panelist.
Okay, great.
Just give him 1 second.
Yeah, and before we go to Jeff, I just also want to point out that the proposed site plan was reviewed on the town's behalf by Nelson and Pope, which had requested a parking assessment and certain site plan amendments, but they did not, and this is significant, they did not identify any significant parking issues. So I think that goes to the merits of the parking variance. Jeff?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Lazarzik. I'm an engineer with Arnhem Engineering here for the applicant.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
We submitted a letter assessment report to the planning department on March 10th, 2022. I won't go over all the main stuff. I'm just going to go over really the parking and then answer any questions if you have any. We developed a parking generation by utilizing data collected at an existing self-storage facility located in New Hyde Park. And that facility was 108,000 feet. So it's a comparable size to what we're proposing here. We observed a maximum of 10 vehicles parked. Based on the size of the building, we came up with a parking rate per 1,000 square feet. And it would, by applying those rates to our building, we would anticipate 10 vehicles parked maximum, which would be 33% occupied and leaving 20% vacants. We then compared it to the ITE rates in the parking generation manual for both a weekday peak period and a Saturday peak period. Based on ITE, they have a 0.10 vehicles parked for 1,000 square feet on the weekday and a 0.09 square feet vehicles parked per 1,000 square feet, which translates to 11 vehicles parked on the weekday, 37% occupied, 19 vacant, and again, 10 vehicles parked on the weekend, 33% occupied, 20 vacant. So then the IT numbers and the observed rates jive. And as was previously stated, we're proposing 30 parking stalls. So it's my professional opinion that there will be adequate parking on site.
Thank you.
That also, I think you have to be promoted to it.
Anybody have any questions for Jeff? Okay.
All right, I also have Chris Robinson. Chris, I don't know if you want to go over the site plan, and I'm not sure the board wants him to go over the site plan. It's pretty straightforward, but I leave it to the board.
I think we're okay. Does anybody feel the need? Okay, we're good.
Great.
And just, Mr. Chairman, there's photographs that are part of the board's packet number 4 in correspondence.
Okay.
I have some of the elevations too. I'll share the screen just so you can see it. I believe that's part of your correspondence. Everyone able to see the elevations?
Yes.
Yes.
Anthony, I think you handled most of it there. I'll be available for any questions the board might have on the elevations, the rendering of the site plan. Chris Robinson, President of Robinson Mueller Engineers, 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York. And yes, I swear to tell the truth.
Thank you. I like that self-storage thing, you know, self-storage. Okay. I don't have, anybody have any questions?
Is it all one building or there's 3 separate buildings?
It'll all be one building. The front portion down by Sunrise Highway is 2-story. And then if you looked at the plan where where the angle point is the building, that's when it jumps from 2 to 3 stories.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Dellavecchia, you have any other questions?
I think you covered just about everything.
Yeah, I think so too. Anybody here on this application, kid?
Yes, I have one person registered. I'm going to promote Michael Liano to a panelist to address the board.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Okay, Michael, you've been promoted. You just need to unmute.
Hey, folks, how are you?
Okay. Just need your name and address for the record, please.
Michael Lano. I live at 228 Half Hollow Road, Dix Hills, New York, 11746.
Okay. And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to tell us?
So, just give you a little background about myself. I actually occupy the building. I'm in the building right now. My name is Michael Leno, live on Half Hollow Road in Dix Hills for 16 years. Went to LaSalle Military Academy, graduated New York Institute of Technology with honors. Grew up in Queens, and I've been on Long Island most of my life. So we occupy the premise here on the calendar today for the last 3.5 years. I'm in the event production business. I know it was mentioned parade floats, but it's a lot more than that. We focus on mobile stages, parade floats, and trailer manufacturing. In 2019, we had our best year ever. Our clients include the Today Show, NFL events, major sporting events, New York City Pride parades, Columbus Day parades, Puerto Rican parades, Greek parade, every ethnicity you can think of. You can find more information about my companies at mobilestagenetwork.com, paradeflowrentals.com, and trailermanufacturers.net. So, so COVID came in and put us down big time, like really big time, and it affects us still today. And because we build our own parade floats, we started to build trailers, which allowed us to pretty much keep the lights on during COVID and keep everybody in the building working. We also have an in-house graphics company that prints all of our banners and all of our wacky designs. And we employ over 20 full-time, highly skilled, diverse people. And in the high months, it goes to over 100 people for large-scale parades and festivals. Now, the reason why I'm here is I want to mention that there is a human element that is constantly overlooked in a situation like this, where money moves the deal and not the hardworking people of the town. Our trailer company signed a deal with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to make custom trailers for them. We're currently making trailers for the town of Valley Stream, and most recently, the FBI Bomb Squad division out of the Bronx. Now that events are coming back, our companies will be digging out of debt from COVID. And I've searched really up and down for a place to move, and I keep coming up with zero. I can't even find a place available to rent or purchase. It's been a complete dead end, and I've even met with the Town of Babylon IDA and just nothing. All industrial warehouse space is getting gobbled up by hedge funds and Amazon e-commerce businesses with unlimited capital. And this particular deal it's no different, because once this storage facility is built, a hedge company is going to buy it for big dollars because it's already built and profitable, which is shutting out a small business like us that create real skilled permanent jobs. And this is a contingency deal, so your decision holds a lot of weight here today. So in about 1 year and 4 months, when our lease is up, we'll be forced out, and the town is going to lose a great growing ecosystem of businesses that could purchase this building in about 2 years from today. So I ask you, aren't jobs more important? A project like this will produce how many jobs? Where is the value in that? Your decision may allow us to continue to grow our business in this location. Now, this would be a much better for planning the future of our community. And that's pretty much what I have to say. And I thank you very much for your time. I'm sure they're gonna, the lawyers are gonna rebut and say that I have a lease and my term is up. But I have to say, even through COVID, we kept everybody working. Our rent is paid and up to date. And we would just love to remain in this building and purchase it. In the future, we have a right of first refusal in our lease. And we kind of had to sign that away because of all the uncertainty of COVID. And again, thank you for your time.
Okay, we understand your plight, but you do realize we're a zoning board and we're going to move on.
I totally understand
the
that.
variances, and this is not a variance, and it's not really part of the application, but
I understand.
we'll certainly take it into consideration. I understand how you feel and stuff like that. But again, who has a lease and who has the it's really just not our purview to do that though. Okay. Do you have anything else for us?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Okay. Katie, anybody else?
I just would like to confirm with Mr. Gordino that I have 2 other people registered that they're part of the applicant, Chris Chaput and Michael Sudano.
Who's Chris? Mike, yeah, Michael is, yeah, they're the architects.
Okay, so they don't need
There's
to.
no need, yeah, I don't think there's a need for them to speak.
Okay,
Unless
then,
the board has questions, unless the board has questions.
I don't think we have it. We have any other questions? Okay, so we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We're going to keep the record open for 1 week based on the fact that we're doing Zoom meetings, and you'll get the decision in the mail. Thanks, everybody, for coming down. We'll take everything into consideration.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Oh.
Have a good night.
You know what?
Right.
Good night.
Okay, moving on. We're on page 5 of the agenda. We have an extension of time request for application 16-121A and B. If the board could look at the correspondence which is attached. It's from Eric Pelletier, the architect. It goes into quite a bit of background and detail as to why this application is being requested to have another time extension, although they are on number 8. So if there are any issues, it's explained in the letter. Otherwise, the property is located in Lindenhurst.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve extension of time on application 16-121A and 121B for 6 months.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next application is Novak Motors. It's adjourned until March 31st. The next is Michael Mara. The application is 21-201. So we had been holding this application since December to allow the applicant to submit new plans that would have allowed the garage, which was only 9 inches away from the adjoining property, to be moved. At the time, the applicant said that that was a possibility, and then asking to scale down the size of the garage. He had indicated a willingness to do so and was given time to produce new plans. The last communication from him to Katie was that he was asking to withdraw the new plans and ask the board to move on what was originally proposed. So we're proposing to ask him for a letter specifically stating what his intentions are and give him 1 week to do so the board can make a decision on exactly what is being requested.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Moving on to application 21-206A and B. This is M&R property. The inspection was scheduled for today, so we will learn more next week what happened with the inspection as part of this application. Moving on to page 8, the application is Jose Mata. I don't believe anything else needs to be said about this tonight. I appreciate the board's patience and indulgence, but it does not reflect well when applicants do not present themselves as responsive.
Yeah.
Page 9, the application is 21-237 Patterson Brothers LTD. The attorney communicated with me to say that they are still waiting for updated site plans. Apparently, the architect is a bit backed up. Moving on to page 10 of the agenda, the application is 21-243 Marie Cardoza. We have another issue of an unresponsive applicant and tenant. Mr. Normoyle has been trying to speak with their representative numerous times. I'll let him share any other details, but we are not getting any kind of cooperation from this applicant either.
At this time, we're still waiting on for them to tell us whether they're going to resubmit plans to conform to the 17'6" front yard variance request, or they're going to go with the withdraw the application and resubmit for the different setback. We haven't heard anything from them in weeks at this point. They have not responded.
So I would like to send a letter, return receipt requested, to the applicant's representative stating that they must provide an update before the next meeting.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the bottom of page 10, the application is 21-246. This is DCC Realty LLC. This property is located at 295 Montauk Highway in Lindenhurst. So the board will recall that it was pending making a decision on this as the matter was being pursued for code violations. Those code violations were heard in court on March 11th. Excuse me. There's correspondence in the board's packet. It's number 3. It's correspondence from Frank Para, the attorney for the applicant. And it has been confirmed by the town attorney's office that there's a proposed disposition that's expected to be entered into at court tomorrow. So this matter does no longer need to be held, and the board, if it would like, can move the application.
Okay. So that was our biggest concern with this, right? That he clean up the violations that he had on the property?
Correct.
Okay, so then we can move it. All right. So I'll make a motion to approve application 21-246 for a period of 1 year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to page 11, the application is 22-008, Michael Capozzi. This is located in Copeg. Mr. Delavecchia had requested additional photographs from the back of the property, as it does. It's on a canal, so it's hard to see the background. So item number 1 in the board's correspondence are additional photos that were presented from the expediter. So if the board wanted to take a look, they seem to show the condition of the backyard.
Steve?
It looks fine to me. I can't see where the shed is on the west side. But from the pictures, it looks like there's enough room for them to move the shed. So maybe if they could do that, I have no problem granting them, relief with variance number 1.
So what would you like the board, what would you like staff to do?
If they can move that shed.
Okay, I will reach out to Mr. Ross and state that that's the board's desire.
Okay, thank you. Because I think it's only a half a foot away from the fence.
I will ask. And then so we'll continue to hold it then until we get an answer on that. So moving on to the bottom of page 11, the application is 21-017, Thomas Galgano with the oversized garage. This has a lot of history. The board had asked for more details on previously approved applications. That has a memo, that is the subject of a memo that I have prepared for the board members. It is privileged, so I would ask them to read it carefully. It is going to take a little bit of background to go through. It includes the photos of the other applications referenced in the planning department memo. So I would think that the board might want another week to at least review that communication.
Yes, we would. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Moving on to page 12, the application is 22-011. We were holding this just to confirm that all the variances are correct, as there was a question whether or not some of them might be reduced or changed. They are correct, and on this application located in West Babylon, the board can move.
All right, I make a motion to approve application number 22-011.
Second.
And there was on the planning memo, a recommendation for a condition that the front and rear deck not be further enclosed.
We can add that, we can add a condition that the front deck not be further enclosed.
Second.
Thanks,
All in
Don.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the bottom of page 12, the application is 21-134. And the board is holding this until the barbed wire is legalized. And Ms. Riley informs us that an application has been received to legalize the barbed wire. I believe it was Mr. Carecci's desire that the board hold this until that approval is received.
Yeah, I think so. So let's hold it.
Moving on to page 13, the application -018. This property is located in West Babylon. It was only being held to afford time for any additional comments. I don't believe there have been any. So the recommended condition was that the rear deck not be further enclosed.
I make a motion to approve application number 22-018 with the condition that the rear deck not be further enclosed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the bottom, page 13, the application is 22-020 Nassau Suffolk County Partnership Housing Development. There have been no other follow-up correspondence on this. The board can move if it would like. This property is located in Lindenhurst, subject to CNR's DEC conditions, and the board will recall this already had a prior approval.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve application 22-020 with the covenants and restrictions and conditions on the planning memo dated March 7th, 2022. And what's the other thing in here?
For DEC conditions as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the condition that the lower level be limited to storage, parking, access or parking, no habitable space.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. Moving on to page 14, the application is 22-019. This property is located in Lindenhurst. So the board will recall that this was an application that had also had a prior approval by the board in ZBA 15-160. So it is asking for an additional total building area variance now from 20% to 31.1%. Planning had just pointed out that that was on top of the prior approval that was already approved. So if approved, the planning department had recommended subject to condition that the front porch not be further enclosed. Property is located in Lindenhurst.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve application 22-019 with the condition that the front porch not be enclosed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next application is 22-024, Ventureland. So we will need the board to make an amendment to variance number 4 to eliminate the words in the requested variance to take out with no changeable copy, so that the variance merely reads permission to allow sign with changeable copy. So if anyone would like to.
I'll make that. I'll make a motion to amend the application, permission to allow sign with changeable copy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve application 22-024 as amended for a period of 5 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to page 15, the application is 21-205 G&J Bestway. So the board recommended denial for unkempt conditions. The applicant had requested a re-inspection in 10 days. So it has passed that 10-day mark, and the most recent inspection, I believe, showed that work is underway, but not quite completed. And I'll let Ms. Riley fill you in on that.
Yeah, I drove by there today. It looks like they removed the cars. Didn't look like they were parking any longer in the neighboring property or along the street. But I think they maybe still need a little bit to clean up some of the side yard and the rear yard.
Okay.
They definitely have done some work to it though.
All right, so that's a good sign. So maybe we'll continue to hold it for a while and see if they do the rest of what they're supposed to do.
So we'll hold that for another week and give them a chance to come into compliance.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yep. Thank you.
The next application is 22-022 A1 Reliable Industries Corporation, located in West Babylon. The request from planning was that if approved, that the property owner augment the shrubbery in the reduced landscaped area.
I make a motion to approve application number 22-022 with the addition of augmented shrubbery.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. That brings us to our last page of correspondence. We had the photos from Chris Ross for the ZBA application of Michael Capozzi. We had the email from Dormer King requesting to withdraw their application. We had the email and photos from Mr. Kara regarding DCC Realty LLC. And we had plans and elevations from Christopher Robinson regarding the application that was on tonight's agenda, SNL Copay. So with that, can we move on to accepting the minutes of March 3rd?
Somebody
I'll
wanna
make a
go?
motion. I'll make a motion to adopt, accept the minutes of March 3rd, 2022.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. For the board's review are the minutes of March 10th. And for the board's review are the findings for Gale Grace Estates. This was for the sign request, and the board had recommended that it be referred to council for findings and contemplation of denial. So those are for review in your packet. And the remaining correspondence remains reserved for the April 9th meeting on practical tactical arms. And that concludes tonight's agenda.
Can I just for a second go back to the last application number 6, the storage place? We should have amended this variance, eliminated variance, waive architectural enhancement requirements on the east side of the wall. So can I just do that now? I need to recall the application.
You don't need to recall it. We're still in tonight's meeting. You can do it at the next meeting at the time that the board makes their decision. Whichever you prefer.
Let's do it now. Get it, this way we don't lose it. So I'll make that motion to eliminate variance number 4, waive architectural enhancement requirements on the east and the west walls.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now if you'd like to conclude the meeting.
That's it. All right. No more. That's it. We're done.
Adjourned.
Is that a motion, Mr. Shepherd?
All in
I'll
favor?
make that motion.
And who seconded it?
Second.
Steve,
Thank you.
second. Okay.